this is Kate from Generate Magic, and I want to kind of extend the conversation from yesterday around making things more difficult than they need to be. And I think a lot of times that comes from who we identify as. And so like I was saying yesterday, the reason that I was experiencing all this struggle and all these challenges is because I was identifying as a martyr and as a victim. And in these scenarios, for instance, in the unhappy relationship, I was finding other people who were also in similar predicaments to me, and really just kind of getting into conversations with these people and complaining about how terrible our situations were and feeling validated. And this really just kind of allowed the situation just to continue. And I think a good example of this whole idea of identity and identifying as the victim, I think it can be seen really well in the movie Adaptation, the Charlie Kaufman movie, where Nicolas Cage, he plays two twin brothers, and one of the twins is named Charlie Kaufman, and then the other one is his twin brother Donald. And Charlie is just kind of, the character in the movie is just kind of the classic tortured artist and struggling artist, where he's trying to make this really artistic, deep movie, and but he's just really struggling, and he's struggling commercially, to be a commercial success as a screenwriter. And he's also just struggling with the actual writing process as well. And also just struggling in all aspects of his life, in his love life. And he's just a very unhappy person. And meanwhile, his brother Donald comes across just as an idiot and as a complete sellout, but yet he just seems to be coasting through life, and everything seems to go his way, and he's getting all this success as a screenwriter. And even though he just seems to be kind of like a hack screenwriter and doesn't really seem to have any talent at all, but yet he's experiencing all the success, and things just seem to come really easily to him. And so I think these two twins, they kind of represent these kind of dual ways of identifying, right? We can either identify as somebody who life does come easily to, right? And this is kind of what I talked about in the past, these classic models like Ferris Bueller or Johnny Utah from Point Blank, just always imperturbable and just kind of cool as a cucumber. And no matter what happens to them, they're always just kind of, just coasting through life. And because that's the identity that they've assumed for themselves, right? That everything is just always going to work out for them, and just a very kind of carefree, happy-go-lucky way of approaching life. Whereas the other brother, the Charlie Kaufman character, is just kind of identifying as being this tortured soul and somebody that always has to struggle almost as a requirement. And I can definitely relate to this, because for a long time I used to identify with this type of character as well, just being like this tortured artist and nobody understands me, outcast of society, poor me, just every single thing you can think of that would kind of fall under that trope or under that category. And it really came down to recognizing that this was a role that I was choosing to play. And at any given time, right, where any role that we choose to play is by definition like a limited role, right? And, just like any belief is by definition a limited belief. Like, people talk about limiting beliefs, but any belief that you have is limiting by definition, right? Because it's putting a limit on who we are as these unlimited creators. And so that's part of the human experience, right, is taking on these different roles. And so there's definitely nothing wrong at all with taking on different roles. Again, it's part of being human, but I think where it can start to create problems for us and make things more difficult for us is when we use these roles as an excuse to justify or to argue for our limitations, and to say, this is exactly to use it as an excuse basically for why things aren't going your way, or why you're not happy. And to say, yeah, I'm just this tortured artist, or I'm just this poor soul, and things just never go my way. And so I used it, and I think same thing, people kind of use, take on different labels like an empath or an introvert. And again, there's nothing wrong with any of this. But I recognized with myself for a long time, I was identifying as an introvert, and I was using this label to kind of justify why I didn't put myself out there more, and why I didn't put myself, out in potentially uncomfortable situations, or in any new situations, that, oh, I'm just an introvert, and just using it as an excuse for not expanding and not just stepping into more and unleashing more of myself and experiencing more of those connections that deep down I was really desiring. I was really craving to experience more of these connections, but I was kind of hiding behind the label of introvert. And so Joseph Rodriguez, in one of his videos, he put this very well with these beliefs, or in this case, kind of these different roles, right? Just kind of treating them as, he kind of called it, like different items in a wardrobe, right? Different costumes. And so recognizing that no belief is fixed, no role is fixed. And just like playing a character in a movie, right? And recognizing that you are taking on a role, that it's not set in stone, that you don't have to play that role or wear that outfit for the rest of your life. And once you kind of are in a place where you're recognizing that maybe this belief or this role is holding you back from living the life that you want to live, or you're just tired of it, in some cases, you're just ready to experience something new. And so then it's just like taking off a costume, right? You can just try on a new role or a new identity for yourself. Just like I brought up this example as well, but I think it's such a good one in Grease, and where the character Sandy, she decides that she's tired of being plain Sandra Dee, that she wants to be somebody else. And so she comes out, in these, this big sexy hairdo and these tight leather pants, and just a completely different persona. And there was nothing wrong with who she was before, but she was just tired of that. She was ready to try something new. And I've experienced this for sure, like in my own life, where growing up, like in school, I was always the teacher's pet and kind of goody two-shoes. And then I decided I just wanted I was tired of being that role. I wanted a new identity for myself. And then when I got into Los Angeles and the whole party scene, I actually had this nickname that was Intoxicate. And I am not saying that that's something to aspire to at all, but it's just something, it was just kind of me trying on this new role for myself. And then when I realized that role was no longer something that I wanted to be, that it was no longer serving me anymore, then I stepped out of that role as well. And so one thing also that I want to get at, and kind of going back to the example of adaptation and the twins, is that often we see this as an either-or scenario. And again, I identify with Charlie Kaufman for most of my life, and I kind of saw it as that it's an either-or situation, right? You either have to be a sellout and literally sell your soul, or you have to be this tortured artist who's dedicated to your craft, but you're never going to achieve any sort of commercial or financial success or any sort of fame on a larger scale. And just like in high school, there's this whole kind of cliche of you're either the dumb jock that gets all the girls, or you're the dumb cheerleader that gets all the guys, or you're this this kind of sensitive, shy, nerdy type that's doesn't have any boyfriends or girlfriends or friends, period. And so, but you know, you're a good person, which is kind of the role that I was playing in high school. And so, yeah, it's kind of recognizing that, yeah, these dichotomies are not even real, because we can see in our own lives, we can see plenty of examples that defy these stereotypes, plenty of examples of people with tons of artistic talent that went on to achieve great financial and commercial success. And I knew plenty of people in high school who were very popular, who were good at sports, but were also genuinely nice and good people. And not just, you know, not just nice kind of on the surface level, but nice in a genuine way, like some of the nicest people you'd ever meet. And so there's really no reason to feel limited by any label or feel like you ever have to compromise. And, you know, it's in the same way, kind of recognizing that, yeah, when I got to a point in my life where I no longer wanted to do these substances anymore, that didn't mean I had to go back to being a hermit or go back to being, you know, the goody two-shoes or the teacher's pet. That, yeah, I could just be my own person, and I could really kind of integrate all of these different characteristics that I'd taken on throughout my lifetime and all these different values and interests. And so I think that's kind of really what it's about at the end of the day is, yeah, just dropping any sort of limitation, and yeah, and just recognizing that you can be wherever you want to be, and that you don't need to let these labels hold you back any longer. And so with that, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.